well, we can carry on if anyone wants a washroom break. We just got started. It's only been like 3 hours and 5 minutes here. So this is what do you think, Mimi? This was one of our best meetings yet. I think, wow, she's very impressive, like the detail.
Just great amazing. I'm just thrilled that she came to talk to us. I feel really blessed by that.
Yeah. It's a PowerPoint. That's a video we could go back and watch 2 or 3 times and stop and read and ponder upon it. And it's the kind of thing you could really take time to absorb. Like she covered a lot of information. We're going to ask Ian what he thought about Mary Rodwell's talk. We don't have to get into COVID. We've had agreements in previous videos. People talk about COVID so much. This is a alien agendas meetup.
People get really upset, and there is such a great divide, and we're just trying to unify everyone.
It's a polarizing factor. So yeah, we'll stay on the alien side of things. But yeah, it's interesting that well, Mary had so much power-packed presentation slides. It was a job to keep up there with my screenshots, but I've really got some good ones. It's one of these presentations I think that I'm going to have to unpack and process as we go forwards, but particularly focusing on the young children, and you can feel that what they're saying is not the voices of let's say what we'd expect children of that age to come out with. That this is far beyond, and this is the evidence laying out in front of us that these children are bringing forward this great knowledge. And I think that this is, again, the most important issue for humanity.
Yeah, I agree. It's the most important issue. Yeah, but it's interesting how she talked the wealth of information about the little kids. Like she didn't talk so much about abduction. This person was abducted. Person was abducted, which we're used to. It's the experience of the kids. So that was quite rich, what she's providing there. I guess a lot of them are there around Australia and New Zealand as well.
That's right.
One thing that I was really surprised about is I really honestly thought that she was going to talk about gray hybrid children. I didn't realize that she was talking about all the races, and I was really quite happy about that, because some of these children had nothing to do with the gray agenda. They're just children that are coming in that way, and they're hybrid because they're coming in that way, not necessarily because anything happened to their mom or to them.
Well, to me, it seems something has changed here. That there was a quarantine on this not happening. They weren't, there's this thing called the Planetary Council, which is, I imagine, this council of beings overseeing what is allowed on the planet and what, making decisions, that kind of level decisions. So this wasn't happening for a long time. Now all these hybrids are coming in. So, I think we can be in the danger of losing of who, even who we are as humans. We have an essence, we have a history here. We have, not that the planet totally belongs to us, but yet, we don't want this to become another Zeta world, which it could easily, So, this, I think it's, but I think also as humans, we have to take charge and not, live with the other races here, even before disclosure, we have to acknowledge them. And so it's sort of a test for us to see if we can, rise to the occasion, so.
I like the way, though, Mary answered the question, Petra. She said she's like on an ice floe, and that's melting, and she might have to switch another one. Like her perception of reality is changing. So we have to, I guess, be a bit humble. We can't be 100% sure. But I think at a soul level, like there's a soul. It's not particularly human. The soul can change from being a human, an angel, a gray, a reptilian, a mantis. A soul can move around. So I wouldn't say that this is just our world. We're human beings and this is our world. It's the soul. And I think the grays or these aliens respect the soul. Jeff has said that they respect the soul, but the body Jeff described as being like a plant.
So if I could make a comparison here, Brian, you're attuned to the German, the Reich and all that, and you feel there's something that should be preserved there. yet you feel this way about humanity in general, that it's okay to let in all these other races and stuff. How does that?
I don't think we have a choice, Petra. I think they're far beyond us. I think we're at the mercy of their intelligence.
Well, or
Don't you?
knowledge, you know, we have abilities as humans, as you know, being souls on the planet for many incarnations. We have, you know, potential here that we can rise to the occasion to become the beings who are equal to them. I think this is what the test is about, you know, and many souls are leaving because they want to remain low vibrational. By raising our vibration, we have access to this, regardless of the input from the ETs or not, you know, and
well, there may be a vibrational change, maybe that's true, but I just look at it from a Buddhist view of rebirth. It's not about human beings. From a Buddhist view, certainly Buddha taught in your past lives, you could have been in any of the 5 realms. You could have been a human, Deva, which is angel, animal, ghost, hell realm, and the human realm includes humanoids and other planets, according to Buddha. To Buddha's effect, we had a talk recently in Ontario. Ajahn Punadam was one of the senior monks in my tradition, the Ajahn Chah tradition of Thailand, and someone asked him, could the Greys be like yakas, which are like Bigfoot? He said, no, the Greys are the small spindly things. He said, he said he regards Greys as the human realm, like from another planet. He's a very senior Buddhist monk here in Canada. And he's the real specialist on Buddhist Cosmos is a book that he's published. Like he's the guy in the English language of Buddhist cosmology. So he regarded the Greys as, well, it looks like it's the human realm. It's not an angelic being, they're physical. So again, I would say it's the soul, and we're not particularly human beings. From a Buddhist view, your soul can change after death. And like Susie Hansen, she was a Grey in a previous life. So I don't think, I think from a Buddhist view, we don't own this planet. I mean, beings come and go, and we've been planets around for a long time.
My experience, one of the reasons why I really liked her talk is because my experience with the Mars people who said that they were family and they felt like family when I was having the experience. You know, so, I mean, am I not supposed to be here? Because my soul might have originated on a different planet. And I have a theory about that maybe people feel that they're from a certain planet because they had their first incarnation there. Or maybe that's where the first time that the soul came down to a physical level, it could have been there.
Well, I have a real resonance with the Arcturians, and her examples, and the couple. I think there's one that was an Arcturian hybrid. I really resonated with some of the language and stuff. I mean, I've had an encounter in Sedona in '87 where the Arcturians were coming towards our van parked in Boynton Canyon. So, and it was about something in my life and my friend's life. Anyway, so yeah, but there's like the star seeds and the earth seeds, and Voyagers explains this like there's a host matrix, a host soul matrix that the earth seeds have taken on this soul matrix of the planet, whereas the star seeds haven't. So anyway, it's pretty complex, but so yeah, but the Greys are different. If you look at Voyagers, even Susie Hansen is, if in her book she describes that there's these hybrids, all these. I mean, probably the number of hybrids there are, the Greys way outnumber any of the other ones. So
yeah, but Susie's obviously pro-Grey. I mean, she thinks it's very loving, kind to her and her
Zetas,
sons.
yeah, we should call them Zetas. Like Mary was saying, there's many races of Greys. So they're the Zetas from
Zeta Reticuli, right? That seems to be head office for them, right? Origination point, it seems.
But they're supposed to be from the future, and they're from another.
Well, no, they're not supposed to be from the future. Jeff refuted that in a previous video, and Susie Hansen doesn't believe that. It's a common saying, but that's not my perception.
Well, Voyagers.
Besides, if they're all over the galaxy, how can we say they're from the future? If they're all over the place, they're here. If they're in Zeta Reticuli, and it's a billion years older than Earth, why would they need to be from the future?
you know, they have a sinister agenda where.
Well, again, you're saying they have a sinister agenda. I'd say no. I mean, what are your sources? You have a channel of sources of Masha Dean. I'm sorry, it's not good enough. That's your opinion, right? That's your opinion, Petra.
Okay, fine.
I'm trying to get some engagement here. I'm not being rude.
I'm very worried. I'm seriously worried about them. You know, I am.
Well,
Okay.
unless we're experiencers, our opinion doesn't really count that much. We can research whatever books, and maybe we've read the wrong book and we've decided to go the wrong direction. I think what we most should respect and try to internalize is the knowledge coming from people who we believe have had experiences with extraterrestrials, with beings that we don't know anything about. And that's who I think we should follow. And maybe, you know, I guess you can believe a book, but I'd rather believe a chat that I'm at, who I can look somebody in the eye and listen to them speak. And if I believe them, I believe them. I get a good feeling about that. Who knows what's going to be out there to be read?
Yeah, I agree, Barry. I agree. And there's so many experiences coming out. I mean, there's so many. I mean, thousands and more. There'll be more. So, and Grant Cameron, we should quote him, being in Canada. He says that it's about the experiences. Ufology is about consciousness, and it's about the experiencers.
Yeah.
Well, these children, you know, that are coming in, I mean, they're so smart. I can't even believe some of the children that she was showing us. You know, they're sort of genius level. You know, you have to respect that. You have to respect the fact that these children exist. You know, there's nothing.
Thank you, Mimi. So how did you know so much about my childhood? You're so kind, really.
There's nothing we can do about it, right? They're here. They're here.
Yeah, they're here. They're gifted.
You know,
yeah.
So I mean, the best thing we can do is actually accept them and research it and try to put the pieces together, because, you know, Starseeds,
But
which
still,
I think have been here since the 50s. You know, the Starseeds, we're one generation of it, and we've moved. You know, we've moved into different generations, and here's these new babies, and they're just so smart. You know, they have it all.
well beyond their years. I like to think of, please, I like to think of what she was saying about her ice flow, and what you maybe were just saying. You always have to remember, if there is an opportunity to change and good reason for it, then you should go with the flow, ice flow, whatever.
Yeah.
So I just think, and I know we're picking on you, Petra, but I think it's important to have your beliefs, but you can't say outright they are true until you've either experienced them yourself or looked and talked to somebody who you really believe in. Anything can be written on a page, and I worry that most of us, or many of us, are running down paths that do sound good, but aren't always true. So I'm just a skeptic more than anything.
And maybe I really appreciate what you were saying about the grace, how your view could change because you're learning from other experiences. So it's really encouraging to hear you say that, Mimi, that you're kind of open to others' experiences. What's the nature of the grace? You know?
Well, you know, I do try to be open, and when I hear things that are, you know, mind blowing to me and you know, concept shattering, I can't help but think about it. You know, some of the conversations that I've had with Jeff have really changed me, and some of the conversations I've had with Ian have really changed me in many ways. So I think if we try to find a common ground with other people, that's probably the thing. You know, that's probably the thing to go for, rather than making such straight judgments about it.
I think we all have a good intention. Like, we want a better world. We have good ethics. You know, we're all trying to piece together something beyond our dimension. So none of us can know for sure, but at least we have a wholesome intention. We should at least agree on that, right?
Yeah, and the thing about this group, you know, the Vancouver UFO group, is that we want to be able to be open. I don't want to say that we believe in this agenda or that agenda, or that this is a fact, because we don't have all the facts. We really don't. We're still in the process of learning, all of us. So
Yeah, that's a good
that's
point,
why,
yeah.
you know, that's why I'm trying to remain open, even though
Yeah, I
I
have to
really
remain
have
open too
had
myself.
bad opinions of
Yeah.
different, you know, ET races, not just Greys, but, you know, people tell horrible stories about reptilians too. But like Mary said, then there's other people who have very loving experiences.
Are you with us, David?
Yeah, I wouldn't miss this for the world. I think I
That's
mentioned
good.
to a number of you, or maybe just Brian and Ian. I met Mary 4 years ago, and I got to ask her so many questions. And for someone that's not, I don't know if I should speak on her behalf, but that is not an actual experiencer, but yet at the same time she has met so many individuals that is directly linked to all of this and believes. It's incredible, you know.
I was just going to say, it's not only dealing with all these ET races, we've also got the interdimensionals, the Hatman, the shadow people, the ultra dimensionals, the elementals. We've got a whole range of beings as well, and we're not sure of all of those agendas. All we can go on is, like Bear says as well, is what we are told by the actual experiences, and working our way through it all. So I just wanted to throw that in, that we're also dealing with a whole lot of other entities and beings from other dimensions and different realms as well.
Yeah, I remember Jeff saying, you know, what president or what general could talk about these are interdimensional beings. They're from another dimension. It's not like Star Trek, you know, where you have the Klingons and the Romulans, which are kind of like, you know, you talk to them in the human realm. There are other dimensions. So Ian's got a good point. Yeah.
Well, I experience things that are interdimensional. So, you know, and as far as different kind of craft and orbs, and it's just so many different things. But my last experience was April 4th, and it was 2:30 a.m. and it was basically an insectoid that appeared to me, and just sort of unusual. You know?
Wow, tell us about that.
Well, the thing is, it's like there's certain times of, there's like even an energy or a non-energy where it's like almost like a dampening effect in that it's like I'll be aware of energy of spirit or craft, or even know to go and look somewhere outdoors up into the sky. And yeah, I'm sensitive to things. And one of the things I'm really experiencing a lot of lately is they've put 9 towers in with 5G.
Oh,
And it's actually affecting and infecting my brother and myself, because we're both experiencers and have a propense to the sensitivity of that to different electrical and different energy fields. So there's different times of the day it gets where it's very tiresome. And the sad part about it is, even in our community, it's hard to get away from it now, because where they've positioned the towers. And there's like certain times of the day, there seems to be more intensity. So that, and you know, there's so many things going on, as we were speaking about, even interdimensionals. These different signals could even be affecting them, and for what their abilities would be to even communicate. In other words, we don't totally know what our governments are up to. You know, it's in many ways, I think they just soon keep us away from the truth. And
Well,
that's an understatement.
Yeah, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Steve,
Yes, Ian.
I'm working on the theory as well that the governments who probably monitor experiences pick up a signature somehow from the experiences. I'm not sure how that is, whether or not it's
Well,
from
I believe
influence
that
or
to be
what.
true, Ian, because I've even had a military, or at least it looked like a helicopter, hover right over me in the middle of the night, and it's like there's no good reason for that at all. You know,
That's right.
You know, and I've seen the black helicopters through the years, many years actually, and circumstances that seem pretty strange with things. And I've had even the experience of actually seeing I believe either a captured or a backward engineered UFO actually fly over the area where I live. And the reason why I say that is the way it was piloted. It was like somebody that was just learning the controls,
Learning to drive.
learning to drive. I mean, that's, if I could somehow open my mind and show you folks what I actually seen, play it back, you'd be going, wow. And
Yeah.
I think that craft was going to someplace up in Seattle area, Boeing aircraft, because of the direction it was going, and knowing that there's things going on up there.
And maybe the Earthling pilot got a strip torn off him as well. They said, "Hey, you even forgot to switch on the cloaking device."
That's right. That's right.
Student driver.
Well, it's interesting, some of the things in the area here where I live, in the Portland, Vancouver area of Washington State. And the thing is with it, there's certain times of the night that if I want to take the time and really, in other words, stand out there and get focused, many times there's some type of mother craft or craft up there, and I'll even say, I know I see you, and they'll fire up, there'll be like this big energy, and then they'll just take right off. And it's like, in other words, they know I'm here and I know they're there. And it's to get pictures though, that's the problem. I've tried to take some pictures and the camera's so slow. Time I turn it on and try to get a picture, or even if you have it on sometimes.
Well, I've spoken to people who have had pictures and seen the pictures disappearing off their camera anyway.
Yep. And there's times where I've taken pictures to where you don't see anything and there's something on them too. So,
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of orbs through the area here, and talking about the energy of water. I have read the book that was it Komodo? Yeah.
Mr. Emoto?
Yeah, Moto. Yeah, that's an excellent book. And knowing that there's, I always figured there was something to water anyway, because of how it reacts. And I live in an area where it's wetlands, so I think that can transfer the energies of the earth. And I've tried to look into the ley lines and energy lines, and it's hard to get accurate information, unless you can get the right geological survey maps and things that way. And I don't have real access to that, but I see a lot of stuff. I mean, through the years, it's to where I know there's something to it. I've experienced things for so many years, even as a small child. My parents were experiencers, and wherever I've lived, I've always had experiences. And even like the shadow people and different types of energies that you can tell that they're either positive or negative. Because I've even experienced a being that tried to literally choke me, and things like that. So I think in this, for the studies of this subject, if you want to blanket the subject, is you just have to keep an open mind and be very fair about things, and don't try to come to conclusions right away, because I don't think that's real possible. It's, there's so many things that are happening, and the more you get to learn about things and other people's experience, then like myself, I'm trying to answer some questions, and I think I have to some degree. And our sensitivity as individuals and beings, and being spiritual beings, because we're not just this physical body, but we're mentally and spiritual. And so there's things that we sense in those realms. And so anyway, it's a really good presentation. I it was Mary's quite a person.
Ask you about your sensitivity. There's thousands of satellites that have been put up. Putting out 5G.
I know about those too. And I've actually there's a site you can go on the internet that'll actually
Yeah,
show where
well,
those.
here's the link here. Arthur Furstenberg's,
Yeah.
whoops. Arthur Furstenberg's newsletters. I mean,
Uh-huh.
when they turned a lot of these on March 25th, he did a survey, and like he got 1,000 responses from all over the planet, and many people were reporting the same thing.
Right.
That,
Well, what I'm able to do, there's oh, I can't think of
the
this.
health that like they couldn't sleep, and I'm just
Right.
they
Yeah, it's
couldn't
very hard to
and there's
sleep.
all kinds of health effects.
Yeah,
So
you're
and
correct.
his last email, people took pictures. Well, there's 2 pictures,
Uh-huh.
one of worms and one of sheep. And just at
Oh,
that time, March 25th, when they turned these satellites on,
yes.
sheep in the field, they went all docile and they organized themselves into a spiral. I
Oh,
mean, there's a picture of it. And the other
interesting.
picture is of worms doing the same things on the
Oh,
sidewalk.
that's right. I seen that. I
Yeah.
actually seen that.
Isn't that like
Oh my gosh.
when you disrupt the planetary organizing field,
Oh.
animals and they organize themselves, they're lost. So
Well, it is. It puts a person. I found that what's happened between the 5G and the satellites, and of course the towers themselves, and then the actual aerosol injections that are known as chemtrails, because there's a big difference. We get a lot of chemtrails here. You can get up in the morning, 5 or 6, the sun's coming up and a beautiful blue sky, and by noontime it's a milky white. Looks like aluminum powder and barium and who knows what else is in it. And you start feeling like you're sort of getting into a fog or something, that it's affecting you. So, and of course, we know that sunshine is very important for vitamin D3 and things that keep our immune systems up and our body chemistry in balance. And so, it's like I always say, they're getting this from land, sea, and air, and now it's space with the satellites. So and I use prayer and the power of thought too to blank out these things and to try to make it through a day and accomplish what needs to be done without being in a fog. Yes, sir.
have you encountered any Sasquatch there?
What's that?
Sasquatch.
Oh yeah, when I was a child.
Oh, tell
Yeah,
us
in
about that.
Wisconsin, and then I've been up in the Mount Adams area, and I've had the feeling of a presence of something watching what I was doing. So, and I have friends that have had experiences with the Sasquatch and UFO and shadow people, and there's something about when an individual's been how can I say it? Maybe almost like an indoctrination of the reality of life. In an interesting way to put it is that I'm attracted to other people of like mind, like experiences, and sometimes you just know you need to talk to that person when you're even in a crowd, and then you just mention some things. Usually, the best way to start a conversation is to let that person talk and say like, well, you're an outdoors person and you hike and do all that, right? You like that? You ever see anything unusual? And when you do that, it allows them to, if they want to say something, they will. And I've had more individuals tell me, I don't usually talk about these things, but I think you're the person I can talk to, and they'll open up. And before you know it, it's like, wow, okay. Well, I'll tell you something. You're giving me confirmation because you were somewhere where I was at too and seeing that too. So, circumstances, and it helps keep our sanity as experiencers and even those that are sincere about researching the truth. Is that's what it's really about, is finding out the truth and the origin of why things are what they are, and to go on with this life, and then as we pass in this physical body, our spiritual life. Because I think the whole universe or verses are open to us, and it's a growing, you know, it's a lifetime, eternity of being a created being.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah. So
You know,
anyway,
what you just said, Stephen, about just talking to people.
Yeah.
When I started doing this meetup, I told some of my friends that I was doing it, and I had a friend who reacted to it, and she was like, "Oh, that's so scary. You're doing that." You know,
yeah.
and she's never watched the program. No, she's never watched anything that we've done.
Oh, that's
So
not
I
good.
thought she didn't believe.
Right.
And I was telling her about a guest that we had, and it triggered something in her.
Hmm.
And she finally told me her story. She used to work on the X-Files.
Oh, okay.
And they were up north somewhere, and she had an experience.
Yeah.
She saw some lights in the sky, and she has about 30 minutes of missing time. And the director told her that she'd been abducted, and it scared the piss out of her, you know.
I hear you.
Really. And she doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I completely read her wrong. I thought that she didn't believe in any of this stuff.
Right.
But actually, she's one of the people that, you know, that probably will come forward at some point. And I asked her to be on the show, and she said no. She
Right.
said she's too scared.
Yeah.
She's too scared to
Well-
even think about what happened to her. She doesn't want to know.
You know,
You think-
some of
Do you think she's that scared because maybe she thinks it'll repeat it? This will
Yeah.
help repeat the
Yeah,
experience?
it's almost
That's
like
what
if I
think.
don't think about it, it'll never happen again.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah,
she's
yeah.
putting it on the location more than herself. She
Up
doesn't
north.
see herself as being the important part here. She kind of
Oh,
puts it
yeah.
on a locale, like
Yeah, like-
she's there, and they
if she
take
was up
any-
there again, it had happened to her again. But if she stays here nice and secure, they'll never,
Yeah,
they'll
exactly.
never find me.
No, it's I tried to talk her into it because it's a great story, and the way she's
Yeah.
a really good storyteller.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I don't even want to ever think about it. So
well,
I
you
think there's a lot of people out there that are experiencers, and they
Right.
have these other categories, you know, fear
Well,
being one of them.
you know what the big problem is peer pressure. And then of course, you know, people's families, they already have some issues with their relationships. And then
Mhm.
you get one of a family members that's had an experience, and they're going, well, we sort of thought you were a little off, and
Yeah.
maybe you need some medical or mental help, you know.
That's the
and-
black sheep of the family.
You
My
know, and
sister
that's
over there.
sad, you know. No, but it's what it is. And culturally, you know, like I have some acquaintances that have friends over in Italy, and of course over there known for their vineyards and wine and all. And over there, it's a daily occurrence with
Mhm.
some of those people. They'll talk about it because, oh, yeah, flying saucer, yeah, we get them. They come down and they're around all the time, and they think nothing of it.
Mhm.
Of course, you know, the news medias aren't going to usually pick up on it. And if they do, it's always still poo poo. And, well, you know, of course, things are getting somewhat better now because of the militaries that have come out in the countries that have opened their books on the information of sightings and stuff. But, you know, it's still, there's that stigma attachment that if you see things like this, that maybe something's not quite right with you or something. You know, and of course we know that the powers to be that are evil, they don't want us to know the truth, because once we know the truth, they won't have no power. You know, that's it. It's like, hey, we're not following you anymore because, hey, you've been lying to us all these years, and all you ever do is tell us the wrong thing, and you want us to basically hurt ourselves. And at it, like I always say, and it's a sad thing to even say in this day and age, there's money in misery, and there's plenty of it, you know, and we need to stay positive as human beings and try to uplift each other. And, you know, when we do find someone that's willing to even speak about this subject matter, is to encourage them in a good way, and try to help them get through the situation where they say, now, was it really was it a bad experience, or was it just something that because it was unknown to you that you have a fear of it?
But Steve, I want to comment what you're saying
Yeah.
about the government suppression.
Yeah.
My view's been influenced by Susie Hansen, like she's coming on June 13th in my new Alien Agendas meetup. But
Yeah.
in her book, but what she's saying is the Greys, even the ancient Greys, really wise ones, are saying we can't have government UFO disclosure. And Susie was at a meeting with a group of human beings, and they're explaining this, and she could see some of the humans were like us saying, come on, give us disclosure, we want it. And
Right.
they're saying, no, it's people can't handle the truth. So now I'm more sympathetic with the government that they're actually following what the Greys feel. It's the Grey wisdom, the wisdom that they shouldn't have. So my views actually changed mainly
Well,
because
is
of
it actually wisdom, or is it their agenda?
well,
You're
I
saying
think
it's
they have a
not.
wise
Sorry,
agenda, but
this is
well,
serious.
at least I'm admitting I think it's a Grey influence over the government. So I'm not
Yeah, I
blaming the
realize that
government so much.
this is all about
Right.
like this is all about experiences. We should treat all experiences, their experiences equal and everything. But still, this is important. That the Greys have a serious agenda here, and I think it's
Well, I
valid.
guess I trust the agenda. My feeling is society is hierarchical and they're wiser, and in their wisdom, they feel, 7.9 billion now. It's not 7.8. I looked it up. So 7.9 people, they can't handle it quickly. It has to be done gradually, and it is being done gradually.
I think this
So
is
maybe
total
this is
bullshit.
wisdom.
The society will, that we can't handle it. This is total bullshit. This is an excuse. It's not true.
Well, one of the reasons why we can handle it is because we've been entrained for the last few years. I would say really, really strongly for the last 10, 15, even 20 years. We've been having movie after movie after movie about, probably the wrong movies, mostly about aliens wanting to destroy Earth, but the idea of it, and Star Trek and everything. So this has sort of entrained people to accept it. And we're at the point now where people really are ready. I think on a huge scale, people are ready. And maybe 20 years ago, they were not.
Well, Stephen Greer is coming out. He's reiterating the false flag alien attack scenario is going to happen. And so is Anelia Benz. Anelia Benz is in Washington State.
But can we trust Stephen Greer? And does Stephen Greer know? Does he have special knowledge? Hey, how about David? David was going to come on. I think he was in mid-sentence.
There he is.
Hey, David. So what's up, David?
Good. I have. Thanks, Brian. In light of tonight's amazing presentation, I want to thank, of course, all our hosts. I have an odd question, which I've already spent an exorbitant amount of time researching. So I have my answers, but I'd like to ask this group specifically because I value your opinions. Now, you might have an auto response to my question, but that's all good. Our conscious mind is approximately what percentage of our mind? Does someone have the answer to that question? Like I said, I have my answers, but I'm just curious. That's the first question.
I've heard 5%.
Okay, thank you. No, that's yeah. Depending on the expert you speak with, it'll be between 5 and 12, but yes, 5% is the answer. So our conscious.
You mean the brain, not the mind. You mean the brain, right?
No, our mind actually, Brian. Yeah, our mind is 5% is our conscious mind. So people ask, so what's the other 95%? And the answer to that question would be our subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting on the bench.
So yeah, 5%. Yeah. So 95% of our mind is, for what we know, over the last 100 years or so, is our subconscious mind. That 5% is the part where we can lie to. It's the critical, it's the logical thinking. Time is linear. Our subconscious mind, on the other hand, is time is not linear. It doesn't understand future, past, present. You cannot lie to your subconscious mind. So we see the clear distinction between these two parts of our mind, right? My question, and again, there's an auto response, there might be an auto response here from the group. Why do we focus, or why is it almost like a mantra that we focus on altered states of consciousness? Why do we focus on the conscious mind? What has anybody ever noticed that we only talk about our conscious mind, our conscious state, the consciousness? And for the most part, I find most neurotypicals are human beings. They do not focus on the subconscious mind, the part where we have those experiences when we dream, where we see different worlds. We just focus on the word, the conscious mind. I'm just curious to know people's opinions about that in this group specifically.
Well, if I could say something, I think, well, even the Jung and Freud, they had three states. There was the consciousness, there was the unconsciousness, or the subconscious, where whatever, and the superconscious. So the superconscious is like our higher self, okay, but the unconscious is stuff we've chosen to not include in consciousness. We've, through trauma and it's made so we're separated from that experience, so we can go on through our life because we haven't dealt with it. Okay, so my understanding is the elemental, which is part of us, it takes over the unconsciousness, its role. And when we enter like 5D, the fifth dimension, I mean, we can't enter 5D unless we don't have an unconscious, where we become totally conscious of all our experience. That's the nature of the fifth dimension. So, we have to be ready, but also that's what it is there, kind of thing.
I don't know if that's an answer to the question, Dave.
Yeah,
I have
that's
a
the auto
suggestion.
response. Okay, sorry.
I have a suggestion about that. Some of what Petra said, well, the Jungian division of the mind into three parts, and the super conscious, I think it is the higher realms, probably. However, the subconscious is everything. It's absolutely everything. And I remember going to some human potential training, and they said something ridiculous like that the mind is thinking about 20,000 thoughts per second. So we would go insane if we didn't have a subconscious mind to house all that, because everything that we're seeing visually in our world is being recorded. Everything. You don't think I don't think that I know that it's dark outside right now, but my subconscious mind, my eyes are seeing that, and my subconscious mind is recording that. So I think that's why everything is in there. So much is in there, and it's worldly. It's worldly, and if we were to always be able to express the subconscious mind,
I think it's a lot safer place to be. That's all.
I think that we would go insane. We really would go insane. That's why the conscious mind protects us.
Insane. When we enter a oneness where we don't have the ego, then we can be all that at once.
No, I mean the subconscious, right? Because the subconscious is physical reality. It also picks up a lot of other things,
well, there's the collective unconscious. Jung talked about the collective unconscious, which we all share. All humanity.
But the conscious mind has a place because it's there to protect us. It's there to filter out certain things. That's right. But then if we go into meditation, then we go into higher states.
It's our ego that says, "Hey, there's too much."
Yeah.
If we let go of that, we can be all. We can be, state of oneness. I mean,
I just think it's a lot more comfortable to stay within that 5%, and the closer you get to growing and getting into 10, 20, 30%, the more expansive you have to be and the more difficult it is. It's just a lot easier to stay at 5%.
Something I don't usually share with the group or share with any panel is that I'm actually broad autism phenotype.
What are you? Autism? What is it though? What'd you say?
I have to be very accurate about these words.
Yeah.
Remember, I don't want to devalue a word. You taught me that. It's called broad autism phenotype with broad autism phenotypes. So and now that's been lumped into what they refer to as autism personality disorder. Now, what I really enjoyed the presentation, how you were talking about all that. It's most people that are on the spectrum won't probably talk about their condition so openly. But what I did want to share is people that are on the spectrum actually have a stronger connection to their subconscious mind in comparison to a neurotypical human being.
And
right,
that's so you have everything coming at you all the time, right?
Yes. And it's not something. So my confusion about this, it's not really a confusion, but I do get confused when I hear people talking and using the word consciousness at a mantra level, when essentially, if we were to achieve that super conscious state, wouldn't it make more logical sense to use the conduit or the bridging gap that doesn't lie to us, which is our subconscious state, not our conscious state, which does lie to us and is capable of lying to us to protect our mind, based on even a little bit of what I heard this evening. And I think with regards to when we talk about how there's a level of programming to keep people down and so forth, I actually am now speculating for the last 10 years, it's a hypothesis I've been developing is that I do believe now in the last, since the 1980s, that we're programmed to think and use those words, altered states of consciousness, more and more and more and more and more, moving away from our subconscious state. And just a little proof I'm going to offer is that when we meditate, and we spoke about meditation is the closest it's one of the sources we can use to get closer to our subconscious mind, because breathing techniques involve us breathing consciously, while when we do normally breathe, we are breathing subconsciously. So that helps transition us to that harmonic convergence point between conscious state and subconscious state, which have two different neural oscillations, but they are in parallel at one point. So I've been noticing this the last 40 years, how people talk about conscious state, altered states. It's almost like a mantra. And my proof that I want to offer is that when we meditate as human beings, our mind doesn't raise, our neural oscillation does not vibrate at a higher frequency. It actually does the opposite. It actually vibrates at a lower frequency between 0.4 hertz and 5 hertz that comes from the alpha and so forth. So we are vibrating slower to actually, I read a little bit about how this individual explained, we're vibrating slower to start learning how to appreciate everything at a slower pace, as opposed to vibrating high and missing out on everything around us. And when we talked about how, there's things happening and potentially to bring us down and to hold us back from achieving a higher level of human evolution, I think this is one of those things. And we are completely unbeknownst to ourselves. We're told one thing to believe one thing and like recycled information, but yet logically, when we meditate, when we meditate to that delta brain rhythmic activity level, we're not raising our vibration, we're lowering that
I think there's a difference though between what they talk about as personal vibration, that's like being positive, and what you're talking about here is the brain, the frequency put out by the brain and the brain waves. So the brain waves can be low, but yet a personal vibration can be high.
So I've had, thank you very much, Petra. I've heard this response before, actually, and it usually, I'm told, it's a matter of speaking, or it's figuratively speaking. But what if that's not, what if, I'm going to use the word, what if that's not correct? What if they are in parallel, but we're told to think differently because people don't want us to know that we can achieve those states, and instead let's distract everybody and push them in the wrong direction.
Okay, but I get you.
This,
but
again, this is myself
is
though.
different than actually
That's right.
being there and experiencing it, kind of thing. You know, when you can think about anything you want, and doesn't mean that you're actually. It's like the difference between logos and information. You know, you can have all the information you want, but the logos is the realization of that information.
I think he's just talking about what we talked earlier in the video, because she brought it up as well. The same idea.
Yeah, and actually, and whenever I've done guided meditation with people, they always take you down. They take you down, you take another step and you go down, down, down. So you're absolutely right. You know, you're right. It is
Lower frequency.
Well, it's going down into the subconscious mind, which usually when we think of meditation, we don't think that that's what we're doing, but I think actually he's right.
I think it's grounding. I think we were grounded when we were young. We didn't need to meditate, but we certainly probably do need now. Well, there's so much happening, and we should try to go to those lower frequencies or whatever it is, so that we can slowly think of what we're doing.
I still want to get back to David's survey, like about the subconscious and the conscious mind. The Buddha, from a Buddhist view, the Buddha didn't teach that there is a subconscious mind. He didn't use that term. I'm not sure, like the Buddha, of course, was very sophisticated about consciousness, but he didn't use the term conscious and subconscious, because that was invented probably in the 19th century. But in Buddhism, they don't use that term. In Buddhism, you're purifying the mind. There's muddy mind. There's different, I guess, degrees of clarity. You're trying to have a clearer mind. But just from a Buddhist view, he didn't use the term unconscious in Buddhism. But I can't offer much more.
It didn't exist, right? It didn't exist.
Well, I mean, it was people the same then as now, but the Buddha just didn't call it the unconscious mind.
Different terms, same idea.
Yeah.
But Brian, that might be pertinent, what you're saying there. Then why? It's interesting. I mean, it all stemmed from it was actually Sigmund Freud that coined the term, and he brought up the three model mind, which is the conscious mind, subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. But
id.
Maybe, and
what was it? The id, the ego.
What did he say? Super ego, the ego, and the id.
Yeah.
Of course, I think that's a big conspiracy, Sigmund Freud. I don't believe in Sigmund.
I'm not too crazy about it either.
You're just saying you're just in love with your mother. You just want to have sex with your mother. Boy, that's his basic point.
Yeah, it doesn't make you feel very good about yourself.
No, it doesn't.
Am I doing that?
Yeah, I'm glad we discarded him pretty much.
Yeah.
So.
I was speaking earlier to another one of the members in the group, and we're having a really interesting conversation. And I was explaining how, so for the last 6 months, I've always meditated. It helps me to focus. But recently, in the last 6 to 8 months, I have, and I've mentioned this, I'm just reiterating that I'm able to meditate, and within 10, 15 minutes, I'm dreaming, but fully aware and fully, if we'll use the word, fully conscious, if that resonates with most. And I'm now able to walk into my dreams while fully aware and fully awake.
Has that ever happened to you, Brian?
Not often, no.
But it does happen.
Lucid dreams. Not many lucid dreams.
Yeah.
No.
That's interesting, Dave.
Also, in Buddhism, dreams are not important. Buddhism kind of, it's just like thoughts. When you're meditating, thoughts are junk, right? You're trying to avoid getting caught up in your thoughts. So Buddhism does not have a lot of respect for dreams. One of our senior Sri Lankan monks was here saying that. You can hear this kind of groan from the audience, like, oh, you know, because we invest a lot of meaning in our dreams. But I guess there's different views on it within Buddhism as well. But their dreams are not regarded as a big deal. Like dream interpretation, dream analysis, that's not something Buddhists do, really.
Okay.
It sounds like you're learning how to go into different dimensions. You know, it does sound like that to me. It sounds like lucid dreaming, which I believe lucid dreaming is actually being somewhere else. Because when I've had lucid dreams, they're more real than reality. And a lot of people say that. I think Jenna said that last week, that lucid dreams seem more real, more crisp, more crystalline than actual reality. So, you know, they're a different place, I think, maybe a different dimension.
How does
So
it affect you,
seem to
Dave?
be learning that, David. That's pretty cool.
How does
so
that
Bear,
affect you?
Yes.
how does it affect me? Well, there's so there's lucid dreaming, as Mimi mentioned. Mimi, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then there's vivid dreaming, and then there's this new experience that I've been dealing with. How does it affect me? Well, what I've noticed in the last 8 months, my serotonin and dopamine neurotransmitters, when I go into those stages, I produce a tremendous amount. So usually when I come out of those stages and I open my eyes, I feel dead being back here.
But shouldn't
feel
you?
what?
It's kind of hard to
feel
explain.
uplifted? Shouldn't you feel uplifted if your serotonin levels are up and all that? That's a good thing.
Okay, so while I'm there, yes, but when I come back here, it's completely different. So I did an experiment. I don't remember if I had this conversation with the group. Maybe I haven't. I did an experiment about a month ago where I started wearing a watch around my wrists because I wanted to learn how to manifest my watch in my dream. I manifest different other things, but the watch was very, very important for me. And about 2 months ago, I did one of those like meditated, and then next thing I know, I went into the dreaming. Like you can tell when you're transitioning over to the other subconscious state. And I woke up, I was like, okay, I'm kind of tired, but I want to get up. And I was doing this, and I woke up in someone else's bed.
Oh, wow.
When I woke up in the bed, I was like, okay, David, I'm obviously not dreaming, but yet I know I'm dreaming. So when I reached that point, I started asking myself a series of questions. Believe it or not, I asked, okay, you went to, and I actually use you guys, believe it or not, I went to the Vancouver UFO group 2 weeks ago. Do I remember some names? And I go through a series of questions to ground me while I'm there, to remind me, okay, this is David. I'm fully awake. I'm fully aware. I know where I am. So when this had happened, I got off the bed and I started walking around, and I went to the door, and it was a kind of weird door. I used my hand and the door just slid by. I looked outside, there were people, and I was like, okay, I've had some realistic dreams in the past, but I know I'm lying down in my bed right now. I'm lying in my, so here's another good trick.
You might be time jumping. You might be
imagination
doing that.
So here's a trick I do. I actually I tell myself, I reminisce with my address, 17 Longshire. You know, I'll say my home address. I'll think of it in my head. Okay, so that's where I live. So wherever I am right now, I don't recognize anything. So I went back in the room, a very elegant hotel, and I looked for my watch, and there was nothing. And then all of a sudden, the watch slowly started to form around my hand. For a split second, it looked like the watch I went to bed with, but then it changed into something more elegant. And this is the first time I've ever done this. I looked at the watch for 5 minutes. And I kept the watch near me, and I kept walking around, and I saw the clock go down for 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, while I touched different things, touched the ground, touched this, touched that, I opened my eyes, and there I was in my bed. Now, why did I tell you the story? I'm very well aware of the fact that I was in my subconscious state. Where that took me, I have no clue, and I won't draw conclusions at this point in time. But what I'm trying to say is I do believe that by my distancing myself from all this conscious talk and focusing a little bit more on breathing, I think that is doing something else. And I think I'm not the only one. I absolutely believe I'm not the only one that this is happening to. But I won't draw conclusions and give, static answers without concretized proof. But I do believe something has been happening over the last 8 months, and I don't know what that is.
Your association with the Vancouver UFO meetup group, and what I can see, I don't have any answers for you. That's really something. I like the idea of the watch to ground you, and you even said before that you're going to use it to do that, and that's what you did. That was your saving grace that brought you back again.
I saw a movie and they had a little brass top, and the person was taking these kind of dimensional trips, and they had a little top, and if the top wasn't in the dream, then they were in a dream. But then the dreams were so real that it was hard for them to realize if they were here in this solid reality or if they were in the dream. So the little top was the thing. It was like your watch. Your watch was real, and then you knew that you were back here in this reality because your watch was real. That was an interesting movie. I wish I could remember what the name was.
Inception.
Is it?
Dave
And they had
says
the little
Inception.
top?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I've seen that
Well-
movie for the Asian version, and I've seen the English version. They're a little bit different.
Has that got the girl from Halifax? What's her name? She was in Juno. I
Ellen
love
Page.
that. Yeah, I love that little movie. That was so good.
Thank you very much for listening,
it
everyone.
could be a little bit like Conception. Sorry, I just interrupted someone. Who was it?
Inception.
No, I
Inception.
just want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to that long.
That was good.
chat.
Sure,
I-
sure. That's
Very
interesting.
Yeah, it brings out a part of people. I can relate to it in some ways when I'm thinking about myself dreaming and whatnot. I'm sure we all can. Sorry, Brian, what were you going to say?
Oh, no, I think the most interesting thing Dave said was a few meetings ago, we had an hour and a half unrecorded with me and Ian and David. Woo! A secret talk.
Meet up. Man, you got some skookum
I really
background.
like
Hey,
it.
hey, Brian, it was so secret. I was even there.
Oh, yeah.
But I
you
didn't
were
say
there,
much.
Steve.
I
Yeah,
didn't
Steve
say
was
a
there
lot.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a secrecy oath,
So
the UFO
secret.
field, man. You gotta be really, you gotta keep, remember Stanton Friedman? I
Oh,
interviewed
absolutely.
him.
Yeah.
And he said, you can't tell your friends without telling your enemies. So secrecy means only on a need to know basis.
Yeah.
Can you tell people? You just have to keep secrets, and lying is standard. You just lie, lie to everybody.
I hate to talk and leave everyone, but I actually have to get to bed. I'm actually getting my my booster shot tomorrow morning.
Where
So I-
are you?
I'm
Ottawa.
in Ottawa.
It's
Ottawa.
1:35 in the morning right now.
Yeah, so I did not want to miss this. There's no way I was gonna miss
Right.
this.
Oh,
Thanks for
yeah.
coming, Dave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
Oh,
was
absolutely.
she was good.
She was amazing.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go too, guys.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Good seeing you,
And I
Minnie.
love you.
Yeah.
I love you.
Good seeing you,
Yeah,
Dave.
you too.
Hey,
David.
Bye, Stephen.
Bye.
Bye, Ian.
Bye.